Ron Paul, former congressman and host of the Liberty Report, believes that the best way to protect against economic turbulence is with hard assets like precious metals and real estate. But even these are under threat from the government. Talking about the impact of the infrastructure bill on the US economy, Ron Paul said that hopefully it would do something positive, but most likely it will do what those kinds of programs always do, and that is spend a lot of money. They are inefficient. They always cost more than they thought they should. Before the pandemic, our correction was already in motion, so they are concerned that deficits don't matter. It's a modern monetary theory. It's going to break loose, and people are going to lose confidence in the purchasing power of the dollar. Everything they do in Washington is just for political reasons. They don't have a desire to promote sound economic policy. It really got started in recent years. Back in 2019, when the overnight rates exploded upward, saying this system isn't functioning, interest rates had to go lower, lower, and lower. Before the pandemic, we were dealing already with a deeply flawed system. About the US government moving left, Ron Paul explained that this is because of the failure of the system, because they divide everything up into right and left. It's a consequence of what you should expect when the government is involved. And both parties are very interventionist. They fight and fume over power. But in reality, they have the same policy. When they are fussing and fuming over things in the Congress, where they are trying to impeach the president, they all show up to vote to spend the money. There was a time 10-15 years ago, there was a significant segment of the economy intended to be more conservative, that they were not excited about tariffs. But now we use tariffs and we use these sanctions. We have a global problem too. When you look at what's happened with our foreign policy in Syria, the Middle East, and Afghanistan, on his views about what can replace the dollar, Ron argues that there's nothing there to replace it. The Fed need monetary reform. It involves living with our means a little bit, cutting back a little bit of spending. But there's no way that they are going to cut it and improve the things. When you don't cut anything and your purchasing power goes down 10%, then there will be a real chaos. People should be looking at investments that enduring conditions like that, and that is investing in the precious metals, having land, learning how to take care of oneself, and being prepared. When it comes to taking care of the people, the government is going to confiscate. They'll confiscate the gold. They did it in the 30s and they'll surely do it again. Now, talking about the crackdown of assets by the government, Ron says that when countries go through these periods of euphoria, where bubbles are not blown up, a lot of times people will be taken in. The government is the threat because they will crack down as they have the ability to do so. All you have to do is spend money and run up the debt. That is a tax. Because if people won't loan you the money, then they have to print the money and the devaluation of the currency becomes the tax. So the tax is going up. They will have to show that they are putting a heavy tax on the very wealthy. There are two parts of it. One is we have the financial bankruptcy, the other is the moral bankruptcy. If you look at what's going on in this country with this attack on freedom of speech and attack on the values of our Western civilization, that is a big deal. Talking about what could be the protection against bankruptcy, Ron says that the government manipulates prices of gold and silver. At the same time, they will confiscate it if they have to. All the bad stuff is a result of bad ideas. We haven't had Austrian economics taught in our schools for the past 50 years. China and Iran signed a 25-year cooperation agreement last weekend to strengthen economic and political ties. Ron Paul said that this agreement is a cause of concern for the US, but that these alliances are really a production of existing US foreign policy. People shouldn't be surprised at this alliance. This is a natural consequence of aggressive foreign policy. What we are doing in the South China Sea? Why do we need ships over there? Seeing how close we could get to the borders without them shooting us. Why are we still in the Middle East? So much of the mess around the world is just people being defensive. Paul shares his views on China moving to challenge the US dollar as the global reserve currency. He says that many of the incentives of the Chinese government are also in response to US foreign policy. They have a goal and they will want to do that. They respond to us, we should just be more competitive. The fact that they want to be competitive doesn't mean they are out to bomb us. If that happens, if that's true, we have to look at our policy as an incitement for that. Additionally, even if China were to succeed, it would be because of the failure of the US to maintain its hegemony. And if the Chinese can do that, that's not a reflection of the great strength of China or the evilness of China. Actually, it's the fact that we messed up our own currency here. The dollar is weak, not because the Chinese are manufacturing more stuff and selling us more stuff. Quite frankly though, Ron says that I don't think it's going to be next week or next month or next year. And all of a sudden, the Chinese are going to replace the dollar. But the dollar is going to self-destruct itself. So it's a matter of concern for us. Paul added that a libertarian, by definition, is not an isolationist. On the contrary, a libertarian is someone who espouses the ideals of free trade and open communication with the rest of the world. So guys, here's the end of the video. If you found this video informative, then please make sure to like this video, subscribe to our channel. I'll see you in my next video. Till then, have a nice day.